Mm-hmm.
So for the left, it can only be an issue of money, not culture. So every time you see any kind of problem coming from the left or from the people the left is supposed to defend, their knee-jerk reaction is, we need to raise your taxes.
It is the Japanese people don't need the state to intervene in order for them to understand the importance of a clean street, right? And just living in a clean society, a clean city, clear village, wherever it may be.
You've got to respect the Japanese, right? The cleanliness, the neatness, the nice architecture. It's all.
You know all those old British Pather videos, just women out sweeping their doorsteps every morning and all that just like quaint stuff. Like those days are gone.
今回はおなじみイギリスのポッドキャスト番組ロータス・イーターズのメンバーであるルカ・ジョンソン、ステリオス・パナギオト、ニック・リクソンの3人が日本やアメリカ、そして母国の移民問題について議論している様子をお届けします。きっかけはリベラルな立場のアメリカ人ブライアンという人物。彼が日本を訪れた感想を SNS に投稿し、日本はアメリカよりも清潔で安全、かつ格差も少ないと評価したことでした。しかし、ロータス・イーターズのメンバーたちは、その言葉の裏にある左派的な思い込みや矛盾を次々と指摘していきます。彼らが特に強調しているのは、日本の秩序や清潔さは単なる経済の仕組みや格差の少なさでは説明できないという点です。そこには日本人の精神性や文化、そして移民を制限してきた歴史的背景が深く関わっていると語ります。議論はかなり辛辣な部分もありますが、アメリカやヨーロッパが直面している移民問題と比較しながら、日本のこれからを考えさせられる内容になっています。本編の最後には、元動画のコメント欄に寄せられた日本に対する意見などもご紹介しますね。それでは、本編をご覧ください。
So, gentlemen, shall we discuss the idiot? We have here Brian Krasenstein, who is honestly, you just get those left-wing reply guys on Twitter, just all the time. When Musk took over, they all said, we're going to leave. And to be fair, there was a mass exodus to Blue Sky. But of course, some of them remained to torment us. And I wanted to go through Krasenstein's here because it's a perfect contradiction. It's a perfect contradiction. So he goes through and he just says, I just returned from 2 weeks in Japan, and I have to be honest, it really opened my eyes to how far behind the United States is falling in so many basic ways. Some things that stood out. In 2 weeks across some of Japan's most densely populated cities, I saw only 2 visibly homeless people. I saw 1 person who appeared to be struggling with addiction. High-speed rail made affordable, clean, efficient transportation the norm, not a fantasy. I never once felt unsafe letting my kids walk freely beside me in public. Despite having far fewer public trash cans, Japan's streets had a fraction of the litter. The country's reduced income inequality was visible everywhere, from housing to public services, and I already know what some far-right folks will say. It's because Japan has low immigration, or it's not run by Democrats. But those are lazy excuses and distractions from the real issues. The truth, we've normalized dysfunction in the United States, and we make excuses for it instead of demanding better.
Yeah, but you see how he has already... I think he... Right, so I'm trying to understand what he and his brother are going on about, generally speaking. And I think that...
You'll never win.
Maybe. But if you scroll up a bit, you see essentially he has put forward the alternative explanation of the left, which is, according to him, reduced income inequality.
Mm-hmm.
So for the left, it can only be an issue of money, not culture. So every time you see any kind of problem coming from the left or from the people the left is supposed to defend, their knee-jerk reaction is, we need to raise your taxes. Is there more crime in, let's say, migrant communities? Yes, they may accept it, but the remedy is to raise taxes in order to give more money to them.
It's always blame the rich.
But even if, and I agree with you, Stelios, but even if, say, for argument's sake, that his economic presuppositions about inequality driving crime were correct, say that they were, does it not also follow that, well, can you not address income inequality and also not import millions and millions of people every year?
Good idea.
Right?
Yeah, the issue is, though, that according to, it's one thing to say that income inequality is a factor, and quite another to eventually treat it as the one and only factor.
Yes, which he...
They may not say this explicitly, but generally speaking, this is the pattern, the way they go about it.
Absolutely.
Can I say one thing?
Yeah, please.
He's only even saying this caveat because it'll have been savaged so many times on Twitter.
Just getting mocked.
Because he's saying, I know they'll say that. Because the left they're not even aware of these arguments. Now they've become aware because they're on X and it's been taken over. So he's going, I know you'll say it's because of immigration. By the way, 2 visibly homeless people in Japan is a cause for great shame. Someone had to probably do ritual suicide and disembowel themselves out of pure shame. You know what I mean? Even the 2 in Japan is like, the streets are not safe.
So dishonourable.
But he's completely wrong, because Dr. Paul Morland has talked about this. Japan, have you heard him talk about the trilemma? He says that when you've got low birth rates, there's 3 options. He talks about he says countries choose from 2 of these 3, but they can't have all 3. So you've got economic growth, you've got ethnocentrism, and you've got what he calls egotism, which is just conveniently to have another E, meaning not having children and pursuing your own life. So he says you can choose 2 out of 3, and he points out Japan chose ethnocentrism and egotism, as in not having children, so they've lost some of the economic growth. That was his case. Whereas like Israel has got the ethnocentrism, so they have a higher birth rate, and they've got the economic growth. They haven't got the egotism of not having children. So we've chosen in this country economic growth and the egotism of not having children, but we lost what he's calling the ethno.
And we didn't even get the economic growth.
We didn't in the end even get it, so you're going to only get one of them. But that's what most, that's, if he's saying something else about Japan.
But also notice how the word culture doesn't feature in this post.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Because he talks about there being no fraction of a litter, and one of the main features of Japanese culture is cleanliness. They tend to think of public spaces as their own spaces, rather than just trash cans.
Right. And what's more as well, the fact was that they used to have rubbish bins all over the place, but they were taken away.
This is what they took from you.
Look at what they took. Look at what they took from us.
I suppose the other way you can do it is just authoritarianism. Singapore, may have said it before, but Lee Kuan Yew looked at England and he says, wow, this is an incredible high trust society. People paying for papers and leaving in the right amount, whatever, and not taking all these things. And he just looked at it and said, we can never have that in Singapore, but the only way we can try and achieve it is just with authoritarianism, which is basically what he did to try and, because he had this multicultural setup of Indian, Malay, and Chinese.
Yeah. But Japan is considered very high trust.
I know,
yeah.
But the only other way to achieve this is in a multicultural society is with authoritarianism, is what I'm saying. Yeah. And then you might end up with a similar level to Japan, but they've achieved it through high trust, like you say.
And that's again, we just seem to lose out because we have the multiculturalism now. We're definitely getting the authoritarianism, and we still don't have any of the perks. Let's go through some of Brian's views on things, shall we? I support legal immigration because it strengthens our country and ensures a fair process for those who want to contribute to America. I oppose illegal immigration because a nation without borders is a nation without laws. We'll come back to that in a minute. I'm against tearing families apart for those who have been here over 3 years. Right, so he's not against that one. Right? Again, already contradicting himself. Well, no, if you've been here for 3 years, then you're, not illegal anymore?
Tom Homan always said, just send the family back as well.
Yeah, based. Yeah. Advocate for massively increasing the funding to expedite the immigration process. I believe in securing the border responsibly whilst ensuring compassion for these fleeing danger. The thing is, right, when you look at Japan, if Japan entirely governed itself by principles of compassion, they would have far more in the country right now. And with 3,000 in Tokyo, they're already causing enormous problems for the local people. And you can see Josh and Bo were just covering the other day, talking about the fact that how quickly this new party in Japan, this Sansito party, has been able to get itself up and running based on the fact that people just don't want this, right? They don't want it, and they're voting on this single issue to just nip it in the bud right now. And this is something that people like Brian will never wish to address and never get hold of. Look at this here. Notice, the incoming Trump administration is planning a large-scale immigration raid in Chicago next week. So tipping that, again, I'm not against illegal immigration, but I'm just going to tip off this city so that you can hide all of the illegals in it as quick as possible. So again, he talks about the fact that, Japan's so safe. But again, just doesn't advocate for a single policy that would actually create or foster that sort of society in America.
This is what I really dislike about the rhetoric of people like Jon Stewart, because it's like you're either going to go for Putin's Russia level of authoritarianism, or you're going to have, San Francisco level of defecation on the street. It doesn't have to be an exhaustive dilemma.
No, it doesn't at all. And, we obviously can't forget that all European countries used to be like this until just a few generations ago.
What they took from us.
Yeah. Again, award. Appreciate it. He can duck the immigration thing all he wants, but the fact of the matter is that the Japanese are the custodians of their civilization and have been for basically millennia at this point, and so they feel that responsibility for it in a way that you just simply don't see. Just to come back to something a little more, well, not trivial, but like the situation of all the rubbish in the streets, right? It is the Japanese people don't need the state to intervene in order for them to understand the importance of a clean street, right, and just living in a clean society, a clean city, clear village, wherever it may be, in a way that the people currently in squatting in Birmingham, right, just don't appreciate and don't understand. The bins haven't come to be collected, so I'm just going to allow myself to continue living in squalor and filth, right? Like, you and I would have the initiative to just do what we can to make sure our plot of land, or our house, looks presentable from the front. All those old British Pather videos, just women out sweeping their doorsteps every morning and all that just like quaint stuff. Like, those days are gone. But
yeah, it's what I was trying to say before. You have the high trust society naturally.
Yeah.
Once that goes, it's incredibly hard to have. And once it goes, like Lee Kuan Yew couldn't believe that we had it. And once it goes, you only get it artificially with authoritarianism.
Physical and spiritual cleanliness are interlinked in Japanese culture. The philosophy parallels the broken window theory of crime, which suggests that minor signs of disorder like broken windows or graffiti subtly degrade respect for the law, encouraging more serious criminality. And similarly, Japan's meticulous cleanliness functions as an unspoken deterrent to misbehavior, reinforcing a high standard of order that infuses the entire society. And again, this is something that we used to have, to come back to what I was saying earlier. But I do think also it is, I don't want to speak as if I think that just because we've lost these things, we can't reclaim them again, right? I do think with time and patience and education and just moral standards that we can actually return to those things. But it won't be with the current demographic state.
No, and Japan is even more like this. And they talk about meticulous cleanliness. I mean, they have those toilets that shoot out a little jet of water. Have you seen those? And they play music. I mean, Japan takes it to the next level. I was watching that thinking, I'm so much like the Japanese. Like, you got to respect the Japanese, right? The cleanliness, the neatness, the nice architecture. It's all great stuff.
One of the things as well I love is that the rules, you'd expect them, because of you hear about the cleanliness and all of these sorts of things, you expect them to be just really austere, right, and just really serious about following, almost like German in their psychology. But they're really arbitrary about which rules. Like, they are madmen when it comes to like cycling, like absolute madmen. If a light is red, then they won't cross the road. But otherwise, I was in Osaka and I saw a woman texting one-handed down a busy market stall with a baby in the front basket, just like this, like the crowd's just parting everything. It's like, so, there is some chaos in there as well.
西ヨーロッパとアングロ圏は私たちの記憶にある限り日本のように安全で秩序があり清潔でした。私たちはそれを持っていましたが失ってしまいました。日本人はこの美しい国に何が起こるかを予見できた幸運な人たちです。今この国を美しく保つのは彼ら次第です。日本を訪れてこの人種がいかに自然と調和しているかを痛感しました。公園は手入れが行き届いており日本人は庭師や自然主義者の国民のようです。もちろん100年ほど前ならバーミンガムの女性たちは競って玄関先を磨き小さな庭の手入れをしていたでしょう。ところが現在同じ家に住む移民たちはゴミをポイ捨てしそのスペースを車の駐車場にしています。異なる文化を持ち込めば生活水準はどんどん低下していくでしょう。私は日本で育ちました。幼少期の6年間を田舎で過ごしましたが素晴らしい思い出です。今でも日本語で夢を見ます。もし日本が日本的でなくなったら悲しい。
はい、いかがだったでしょうか。今回の議論を聞いて感じたのはリベラルの人たちが見落としがちな視点です。社会の秩序や治安、清潔さはお金や制度だけで維持できるものではありません。人々の精神性や文化に支えられてこそ成り立つもので、一度失われたら簡単には取り戻せない、そのことを強く思わされました。イギリスもかつては日本のように秩序ある社会や文化を持っていました。けれど今はその多くを失ってしまった。彼らが語る言葉からはその喪失の痛みが伝わってきます。それでも日本を案じ同じ道を歩まないよう警告してくれていることには感謝の気持ちしかありません。私たちも日本がイギリスやアメリカと同じ過ちを繰り返さないように真剣に考えていかなければいけませんね。皆さんはどう感じましたか？立ち上がれ日本人。それでは次回の動画でまたお会いしましょう。